Exciting news, everyone. My new book, I Wish I'd Quit Sooner, is officially out now. You can grab it on all major book retailers and online distributors, and the audiobook is also available on all the popular listening apps. Visit drlaura.live or check the link in the show notes to get your copy today. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Laura, and I'm so excited to be here with you today to talk about remaining resilient through rejection in your career, a topic which almost everyone, if not everyone, can relate to. And this is my 139th episode. If you can believe that, I'm just about done season 6 of the podcast and 139 of these episodes into the world. It's definitely been a labor of love, and I've learned so much from it. And about every third episode now, I'm soloing on a topic that is timely and important based on the trends that I'm seeing. And the media called up and said, "Hey, Dr. Laura, could you talk to us about the state of the job market these days, how there's so much rejection and it's so tough, especially for young people. And the unemployment rate for young people is double that as what it is for non-young people, people of all other ages, but young people. So let's just say those that are anywhere from 16 to 24 years old, considered young people in today's market, are having a really hard time landing jobs, whether it's summer jobs, whether it is their first employment after getting a diploma or a degree. It's just plain difficult out there. And I think all ages are going through struggles when they are searching for an employment, because there's more people than ever replying to job ads, submitting their resumes online. There's thousands of people applying. There's lots of layoffs going on, and it is a tough job market. So our mindset and our hope is more important than ever before. So that's what drove me to want to talk about remaining resilient. And we can talk about the job search, but we can also talk about rejection in general, because rejection is a part of so many of our careers, our jobs, whatever we're doing for a living. We may end up getting rejected. And rejection is very tough. It's tough on our ego. It's tough on our self-confidence, our self-esteem. And I just want to speak to that, speak about my experience, how I work with clients on this, and hopefully instill some hope in those that are struggling these days. And if you are struggling or know someone that is, please share this if you find it useful. Rejection hurts. It hurts because we are putting ourselves out there in some way. So if you're applying to a job, you're putting your application out there, your resume. If you are trying to submit yourself for something or bid on something. I know as a professional speaker, I'm often sending applications to speak at events, or I'm being considered against other speakers. And with that turf, I tell you, comes rejection. There's a lot of competition, and rejection is just a part of my life. And rejection feels painful, especially when it's something you really want and you had your heart set on, or you thought you had it in the bag. You thought, yeah, I have a really good shot at this. And I always say knock on wood, because when you think that, sometimes it doesn't come true. And then it's even harder to come down off of that. So when you are rejected, let's just say you did an interview, you thought it went well, you were anxious and excited to hear, and then you get the rejection. It hurts. And I just want to say that it's okay to feel the pain, and going through the pain and feeling the emotions is part of it. It's part of getting through it, getting to the other side and recovering and being resilient. Without those tough emotions, that sadness, rejection, frustration, the pain, you're not going to get through it properly. If you just ignore it, bury it under the carpet, don't address it, don't feel it, then it's not going to leave us. It's going to stay within us. And emotions are funny things because they are energy. Emotions are energetic, and then they lead to certain neurochemicals in our bodies that can actually feel physical. That's why emotions might feel like tightness in your chest. It might feel like your brain is, anxious. Anxiety can either take place in your brain, in your throat. That's common, where your throat feels tight, your chest feels tight, your gut feels achy, or there's butterflies in it. So I always encourage people to reflect on, where do I feel this rejection? Where do I feel this pain of the rejection? And what is it making me feel? So for me, when I get rejected from a speaking gig and I think they should have had me, but they chose someone else, I often feel, passed over, maybe not good enough, maybe sad. I feel like my confidence might take a bit of a blow, and I'll feel those emotions. And I encourage you to do the same. I encourage you to write down, to journal the emotions that you feel, and to get them out there. And there's so many different ways of talking about emotions and naming them. And these have to be right for you. They have to feel right for you, how you're going to talk about your sadness, your frustration, your rejection. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's a feeling of unfairness. It's so unfair that someone else got a job and they've only been trying for a month and you've been trying for a year and you got rejected yet again. And it's easy to get into that place of hopelessness and feeling like you're never going to get a job. And I want you to journal those feelings. I feel like I'm never going to get a job. I feel crappy. I feel like I'm no good. I want you to journal those things. I want you to get them out of you. I want you to talk to a friend about them. Talk to a counselor about them. It's okay to feel these things. These are normal human emotions. When we put ourselves out there, we put our heart and soul into something, and then we get rejected. It hurts. But I want to say this, and I think it's really important. Rejection is often preparation. Rejection can be protection as well. Protection against an opportunity that may not have been good for you. It may have been a toxic workplace, an unhealthy environment. Or it's preparation because perhaps you needed something else in your life, a different job to prepare you for what's next. And that job wouldn't have prepared you. And the way I always see it is, if I don't get a speaking gig, it's probably protection against perhaps an audience that wouldn't have been a great fit for me. Maybe that industry or that audience would not have been a good fit. My evaluations wouldn't have been as positive as they typically are. And that would have been devastating for me. And it was better to be rejected from that opportunity and protected from the pain of that than to have that opportunity. That's just one way that has helped me reframe. And for you, you may get rejected, but when you look back on it, when your future self looks back on it and you're in another position, 9 times out of 10, you'll say, I'm glad I ended up here, because without being here, I wouldn't have met that person. And without meeting that person, I wouldn't have met a really good friend that I now have in my life. Or I may not have had that client that taught me so much had I accepted that other job. But you don't know because you don't have the hindsight yet. Your future self knows, but you don't know. And that's why it's a bit of surrendering to what is. It's surrendering to the fact that things are playing out in a certain way. We don't know why. Sometimes it feels really unfair, and life can feel really unfair, but we're learning, we're growing. And that's what I want to get to next. When it comes to rejection, it's important that once you feel the pain of rejection, allow yourself to experience the emotions of the rejection. The next stage is to reflect on it. Reflect on, is there anything I can learn from this rejection? Is there anything I might do differently next time? So say you did an interview. I always say, do a post-interview reflection. Okay, how did it go? What am I proud of? What's one thing I could have done differently? What's an answer I wish I had said, perhaps instead of another answer? And you reflect on it. And then if you do get the rejection, you can go back to your notes and say, remind yourself, okay, next time I'm going to do these things differently, but I'm not beating myself up over it, because rejection was redirection. But I'm still going to learn from this. I'm still going to see, is there anything I could do differently? And dwelling in the past is not healthy unless it is to process the emotion and let it out of our systems, let it out of our psyche, let it out of our bodies, or it's to learn from it. What can I do differently next time? End of story. Let's put that away, put that in the past, and move on to where we should be focusing most of our energy, which is the present moment, today. So this is really key for you to think about how you're going to reflect on rejections that you face, and then what is your next step beyond the reflection. So it's easy to get into a hopeless state where you start to lose motivation. You just don't feel like applying for more jobs. What's the point? And we get people in this state at my company at Canada Career Counseling who just feel so deflated. And it's really important to help build up their confidence again and really helping them reflect on what they're proud of in their past career when things were going well. And what are their gifts? What are their talents? And how we can get them to be feeling a little bit better about that. And not everyone has an easy time networking, putting themselves out there in the job market. Yet networking is more important than ever before. Even in this day and age of AI, it's the human connection and setting yourself apart from others, which really matters. So let's just say I'm a person in my early 20s and I've submitted 100 resumes in the last month. And I thought I tailored them. I thought I tailored the applications. I did some good cover letters, but it's been either crickets or I get one interview and then I'm rejected. And I feel, what's the point of all of this? And then I always ask the person, have you talked to anyone? Have you gone out and met with anyone in your networking? No, I haven't. And I always say you need to be putting yourself out there into the universe, not just online from behind your computer keyboard, but you need to be putting yourself out in your relationships, in your community, talking to neighbors, talking to friends, family friends, parents, people in your community, people you volunteer with, maybe in your church, wherever it is that you spend time. I want you to be talking to people and being open about it. And people respect that when you're open and say, I've been looking for a job. It's a hard market out there. This is the type of job I'm looking for. If you hear of anything, keep me in mind. And people are generally very open to that. And that's when what I call happenstance comes into play, or serendipity. Happenstance is you put yourself into a situation and then circumstances play out to make something work out because you were at the right place at the right time. And someone you talked to, maybe you were picking your kid up at school and you talk to another parent and they say, oh my gosh, yeah, my husband's company has been looking for someone with your skill set and they're having a hard time finding the right fit. And then all of a sudden, the dots are connected. That is the magic of this whole serendipity and putting yourself out there into the community. Someone I was chatting with this week said her daughter went around as a young person and handed out resumes in sort of an outdoor outlet mall where she handed the resume out to a whole bunch of stores. But she went into each store or shop and said, I'm so-and-so, and I am applying for a job. I would love to meet your hiring manager, and give them my application, my resume. And what happened from that, from spending a couple of hours doing that, is she got 2 job offers come from that, because not many students these days go and look people in the eye and smile and show their enthusiasm and present that way. It's so easy to do it online right now. It's so easy, but it doesn't set you apart in a tough job market. It doesn't set you apart from the hundreds of students that are not willing to take the time to come in or don't have the confidence. And I would say even start with a couple and you'll find that it's not that scary. And if you go into somewhere and it feels like the people are arrogant, rude, snobby, don't treat you very well, and you say, oh, that was awful. Well, that's good news because you've just learned that you don't want to work there. You've just learned that. And you know that when you go into a place and you don't get good reception and there's not good energy and good vibes, it's not somewhere you want to end up anyway. And that's okay. It's okay. And you've experienced that. And then you move on to a place that hopefully is much more positive. So that's my advice on that, on putting yourself out there and figuring out what's the next step you can take. And sometimes it's about shifting your focus because there's a lot of factors beyond your control. There's economic conditions that impact certain industries more than others. So you may have your heart set on a certain job or career opportunity and there's just no positions in it. It might be that you need to pivot for a bit. You need to pivot to get an income coming in, doing something maybe you're not 100% excited about, and that's okay because it's biding you time to get to the place that you want to be once the market opens up and begins to flow better. And I always say, if you're interested in a certain industry, field, or occupation, keep a foot in it. Keep a foot in it by perhaps taking another course, taking a certification of some sort, attending a conference on that topic, just to keep your connections going in the meantime. And volunteering can be another way. Depending on the industry, there may be ways to volunteer using your skill set until such time as you get full-time paid employment in that industry. So it's about pivoting. It's about thinking outside of the box and being willing to be agile and not set on one specific thing. A siren is going off. There's pros and cons to having an office in a downtown, isn't there? But the siren is going off because it's reflecting that a lot of people are in a panic mode these days. They're panicked about the state of the world, the state of the economy. And I always go back to, there's only one thing that we can control. It's what our next move is today. It's the present day that we have in front of us. We can't change the past, and we certainly can't control our future to the point that we can predict exactly what's going to happen. We can put goals in place, we can put energy towards those goals, but we can only focus on today. And it's about how are we going to step forward today? How are we going to move forward amidst all the uncertainty and all the rejections, staying grounded, staying adaptive, and you have a strategy for what you're going to do to get to your next move. And if you're lost with that, career psychology can be very, very helpful. Coaching can be very helpful. But talk it through with someone who's supportive. If you're really feeling a lack of hope, you need to get a positive mindset, some degree of hope to get you through 1 week at a time. Don't focus too far ahead. Focus on a day at a time. And this week, what I'm going to do to move forward towards my goals. I always recommend good sleep, resetting your nervous system when you've been rejected. And that may require exercise, time with a good friend, getting outdoors, time with a loving pet. Whatever it is, give yourself that self-love and that time. And then again, I want you to shift into reflection about what I learned, what will I keep doing, what will I change for next time. And then I want you to figure out what's your next step forward on your approach. How are you going to move forward to get to where you want to go, whether that's applying for more jobs, networking. It's consistency that matters more than perfection. It's consistency. And the same with weight loss. If you try to be perfect with weight loss and just get angry and frustrated at yourself, we know that doesn't work. Same with searching for a job. Same with growing a speaking career like mine. You need to be putting one foot ahead of the other and putting your best self forward with consistency and not beating yourself up for the losses, but treating them as learnings, not losses. Hindsight is always 20/20, but when your future self looks back, we realize what happened and what worked out was what was meant to be for us, and it helped us in certain ways. And we may not ever totally understand why those unfair things happen, but we do see the path that we have come from, and we have learned from that path, and we have grown. So rejection is something that you're grieving for today, but you are quietly being prepared for an opportunity that will one day make perfect sense. Rejection is preparation. I hope you stay well. Thank you for tuning in to Where Work Meets Life. If you found this content valuable, please rate, review, and share with others who may benefit. If you're struggling in your work life and need support, I offer coaching sessions. You can book a complimentary consult on my website. I'm also a passionate keynote speaker and would love to discuss your professional speaking needs. Visit my website, drlaura.live, to sign up for my monthly e-newsletter filled with tips and resources to help you stay well.